But first, this week's 1-on-1 in 10 with Police Minister Mark Mitchell on organised crime and the terrible damage meth is doing to our communities. Kia ora, Minister. Welcome to the show and thank you for being available to the Fourth Estate. Your democracy is grateful.
Good evening, Bomber. Am I on with the panel or was it just you and I?
It's just you and me, buddy. 10 minutes. Let's go. Comrade, we could spend...
Firstly, I can see the panel there, so hello to everyone and a big congratulations to Matthew on his appointment as editor for the Post.
Amen. Amen.
Which might reignite your belief that you could become a National Party candidate, Bomber.
One day. Comrade, we could spend the next 10 minutes shouting at each other because, let's be frank, we have very different policing philosophies, and as entertaining as that may be, I am genuinely concerned by the expansion of organised crime into New Zealand and believe we face a threat that isn't left-wing or right-wing. It's a safe New Zealand thing, and I'm honestly interested in your perspective for the many whānau who are living with addiction in their community. So again, thank you for appearing tonight.
No, of course, no problem at all. And, it's an important discussion to have. And you're absolutely right that, the emergence of transnational crime is an issue right across the globe. These organised crime groups, they're well-resourced. They have plenty of money and they've got the ability to be able to open up supply chains right around the world, including in our part of the world, down through the Pacific and into Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah. Minister, wastewater testing shows that meth use is up 15% on average, despite the police receiving $3.2 billion in funding. I put to you that the enormous influx of 501s from Australia created a unique situation in the domestic criminal underworld, with 501 syndicates bringing with them a level of uber violence and criminal sophistication that hadn't been seen before. In your opinion, were the New Zealand police too slow to understand what was happening with these new 501 syndicates influencing the domestic criminal scene in New Zealand?
No, the police understood immediately because obviously they were on the front line in terms of having to deal with them. But you are 100% right, is that they introduced a new level of violence and sophistication, organisation and funding, around the illicit importation of contraband, not just drugs actually. But the police have been swift to respond to that. We're running big operations. We've got dedicated gang units, and most of the gang leaders at the moment are in prison. But you're right about there's a big increase in wastewater testing and methamphetamine. When we looked at that, we actually waited to see, or we were looking. I was a bit puzzled by that, how we had such a big increase, and there was no evidence to say there was more people actually using methamphetamine. So now we're sort of 7 or 8, 9 months into it. That hasn't shown up either in the house system or in terms of meth-related violence and criminal offending. So what we think is it's the same people using the drug, but they're just using more of it.
Right. And initially, domestic gangs had imported pseudoephedrine to cook meth or had contacts with triad bulk importers of finished meth. But the new 501 syndicates have South American cartel links and can import a purer and cheaper meth, giving them market dominance and advantage. These syndicates operate at a counterintelligence level. Again, are you confident the New Zealand police have the skill sets to combat organised crime at this level?
Yes, I do. And actually our law enforcement agencies here in New Zealand are admired around the world for how good they are. We're lucky in New Zealand because we don't have to operate inside a state or a federal system. We've got one national system. All of our agencies speak to each other. Since I've been the police minister, I attend quarterly the meetings of police ministers and commissioners in Australia. I've brought that relationship much closer, and also up in the Pacific as well. We're trying to push as much support and coordination up into the Pacific to help them because they've got real problems with drugs up there as well.
In 2021, there were concerns voiced about the Gang Intelligence Centre, with complaints internally of poor leadership that had struggled to reduce the harm caused by organised crime, while only last year your government's own advisory group told your Associate Police Minister that New Zealand is losing the fight against organised crime. I ask again, are you confident the New Zealand police have the skill sets to combat organised crime at this level?
So that was a ministerial advisory group that was put together. It's
Yes,
done some very good work
yes,
and provided some good advice to my associate Casey Costello. I didn't
yes.
agree with all the findings on that.
Okay.
I don't agree that we're losing the war on this. I think that we've been very effective. I think that you would have seen in the last week, there's been some big operations that have been
Yes,
terminated
yes,
by New Zealand Police.
yes,
Like I said to you, we've got our prison population at the moment is the biggest it's ever been. Now,
yes.
I'm not saying that's a good thing because long term we want to see that reduce. All of us do.
Sure.
But the reason for that is because the police have been so effective in targeting the gangs and getting the leadership actually into our prisons and off the streets and trying to break them up and disrupt, their networks and
Yep.
supply chains.
Let's talk about some of those recent operations. Operation Phoenix, led by the National Organised Crime Group, culminated in recent days with 34 search warrants being executed across Northland and Auckland. This crime gang, however, was cooking meth, which was one of the warnings made by officials when David Seymour changed the rules in 2024 on the sale of pseudoephedrine. Your officials warned that legalising pseudoephedrine comes with risks, including a potential increase in domestic meth production. Why should Northland pay for domestic meth production so the leafy suburbs can get flu medicine?
Well, I think although you're right that there had been a reduction in cooking going on, it hadn't gone away completely. It was still happening.
Sure.
We've got checks and balances inside pharmacies to make sure that problem doesn't emerge.
Yes.
If down the line it shows that it has, then we'll pivot and we'll make the changes that we need to make. But there's no evidence of that right now.
Okay, there is a geopolitical dimension here, isn't there? With China through their shadow banking infrastructure, which allows 501 syndicates to pay for South American cartel drugs directly. If we were serious about breaking the connection between the cartels and importing meth, wouldn't we hire 100 Mandarin-speaking police officers and hunt down the Chinese shadow banking operating in New Zealand?
Well, we've got, the great thing about our police force now is it's so diverse, and
Yes.
we've got Chinese speakers in the police force. We've got strong ties that you would have seen last year. We've had a permanent FBI office open here.
Yes, yes.
We've actually got police liaison officers in South America. So we're sort of increasing our global footprint as well, so that we're actually tapped in, getting good intelligence to inform us in terms of the decisions that we're making back here in New Zealand. So there's a lot of work going on, Bomber. And some of it I can't speak about because we don't want to give away the tech.
Of course.
These, as you've alluded to, these crime syndicates, especially out of South America, they're sophisticated, they're well resourced, and so we don't want to give away exactly how they're doing things. But I just want to give you a sense that never have we been as close as we are to the Australians. Never have we had as big a presence up in the Pacific Islands and providing support there. Never have we been in such a good position in terms of intelligence gathering and running counter operations. And the one that I do want to, that you've just alluded to, Northland, that came out quite simply about Naitahu coming down, meeting with me, senior iwi leaders, and saying, what can we do? And this is a culmination. That was over a year ago. So that's indicative of the amount of work that's actually been going on up there, working with all the communities, which has been really important. Because that's the most effective way of us dealing with these issues. Because as you know, all the social issues that come with them are so destructive for us as a country.
Right. Is the shadow banking one of the real reasons we have that FBI base operating in Wellington? Their experience with counterintelligence and monitoring international calls could provide New Zealand police with far better insight, couldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I meant Ngāpuhi.
Oh, of course. Sorry. Yes.
Yes, sorry, that was on me. We've got far better tools available to us now. Look, and you're talking about finance and following the money. We work very closely. Police work very closely with IRD. We use every lever that we've got available at central government to be able to bring to bear as much pressure as we can on these groups, because ultimately, Bomber, we want to make New Zealand a very uncomfortable place and a very difficult place for these gangs and these organised crime groups, the transnational crime groups, to operate in New Zealand.
Absolutely. One of the most alarming insights into the recent Northland bust was the tactic by gangs to target solo mums to
Yeah.
addict them and spread their distribution networks. Many whānau have become horrifically addicted to meth, and we don't have the rehabilitation programs necessary to get whānau off the meth. When will the government start being as focused on the programs to get family off meth as much as we do everywhere else?
So we have got our resilience programs that we are running around the country, specifically designed and partnering with community organisations to get in alongside people to educate, work with police to actually try and reduce the harms of meth in our communities. You know, at the end of the day, my core belief, I have to go straight at the problem, right? So
Yes,
the issue was a massive increase in violent crime,
yes.
and all the problems associated with that. And I don't have the luxury of being too nuanced about it. I just had to go straight at the problem.
Sure.
That's what we've done. But you know, the cornerstone of my belief, and Matthew might talk to this because he's got a long history in the National Party and would have been involved in sort of the growth and the development of our social investment model. The social investment model for me is what I really believe in, and that is quite simply identifying really early where we can make the biggest difference in people's lives, and then making that investment there. And there's a big chunk of work going on across government at the moment. You got to partner with local government. You got to partner with iwi and hapa. You got to partner with you know, community groups. But it's actually because none of us want young people coming into the criminal justice system. None of us want anyone coming into the adult criminal justice system. The best way to deal with that is a whole of society approach.
Yes.
With government leading a social investment on identifying where we can make the greatest change and difference in people's lives, and where we make that investment from a central government point of view. That sounds very easy. It's not. It's actually really hard.
Yeah.
But you got to start somewhere on it.
Finally, Minister, if there is a change of government in November, do you think Police Commissioner Richard Chambers will have lost the confidence of the next Labour-led government after his remarkable claims on Labour candidate and former Superintendent Rakesh Naidu?
Well, they'd be silly if they did, because he's an outstanding commissioner that's got the support of his front line and the support of the public. And he's been very, very effective. He's now 18 months into the job, and I think that his results will speak for him. You know, I was very clear myself that I was disappointed in the way that was handled. That should have been, in my view, the earliest opportunity to inform the commissioner that that you know, a senior officer or you know, Rakesh was looking at becoming a candidate. I got no problem with him becoming a political candidate. I think that regardless of what party you are from, you come to Parliament because you want to make a change and you want to do something positive for your country. I believe it's although, you know, politicians, yeah, fair enough, we get a hard time. I do believe it's an honourable profession where you do go there to try and do the right thing. So I'm not against anyone.
Did you feel personally? Did you feel like we know that you've got a very close friendship with him? Did you feel personally betrayed that he did it?
I worked very closely with him.
Yes.
I just felt that he let the police down and the commissioner down, because he should have, at the minute he went into talks with the leader of the opposition about the possibility of becoming a political candidate and a politician, then he should have informed the commissioner so that a plan could have been put in place for him to keep him safe and also to protect the political neutrality of the police. The police is a very different service. They've got powers that no one else has.
Agreed.
Over members of the public, and so I felt very strongly that yes, that somehow it seems to me, I just can't accept the fact that announcing a candidate 72 hours out is the right way to go about things.
Great, but true, but a great candidate for Labour, right?
Well, I think that you know, I'm not taking away his public service. Anyone that does public service, I admire, and they deserve to be recognised on that. But I just wish that they'd done it differently, because we've just come through a very difficult period of time around police integrity, and it's important, and those values should be lived every day.
Thank you, Minister, for your insight and oversight. We do hope to speak with you again before the election on more crime and punishment talk. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks for having me on, Bob. It's good to see you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.